Hello and welcome to episode 3 of The Hunt. This is a Predecessor Podcast. With me are my guests, Pinzo and Lance Cecil. Pinzo, how you doing, bro?
Not bad. Just hanging out, man.
Nice.
Coming off a stream, ready to do some podcasting.
Okay, cool. So you're casting some pods. And Lance Cecil, you and the puppy living the best life. How you doing, my man?
Good. Long day at work. I spent most of it pretending to work, watching Pinzo on stream, actually.
Dude, okay,
That's what I like to hear.
Definitely hope this doesn't get shown where it shouldn't. I have a stream on all day at work, and sometimes I'm not at my desk, so there are days where it's like it's slow and I can't hang out, but usually I'll start my morning in like an EU stream, then I jump over to Soul Reaper, then I jump over to Pinzo, and that's about what my day is like. So if I'm working at my desk and my computer's over here, I gotta stream up all day, so it's pretty sweet gig. But we got a lot of Predecessor to talk about, man. We got a lot of stuff to talk about. We got all the topics down below. If I had better production, I would have found a way to like light them up as we go, because that was a suggestion. I was like, oh, that's a sick suggestion. I'm just too lazy to do it. So yeah, we're just gonna be flowing through them and talking about some stuff. So is it Grim.EXE? Y'all tell me. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but is it actually Grim.EXE? Is it actually
Grim.EXE, guys?
Well, it is.
In the original Paragon trailer, they say Grim.EXE.
Okay. And again, I don't want to spend too much time on that because it's like a casual talking point. But I'm a tech person, so I'm definitely gonna go with the software name, right? Like he's an executable file. Grim.EXE is out. Lance, what are you thinking about Grim? Have you played him yet? What do you think about this hero?
I suffer from ping problems, so I can't play people who have to land auto attacks, right?
Lance,
but I
what
will.
Is your ping?
I play on like 95 on East.
Okay.
I also don't have a very capable computer. I actually have to run a desk fan pointed at my computer so that Predecessor doesn't blue screen my computer because it makes my computer so hot. So I've got some hardware issues and like 95 ping. So I'm hard on mages and people that can't miss abilities, basically.
So you love him. So you're loving him.
I like playing against him. Because people don't know how to play him yet. And I've stomped every Grim I've ran into, but usually they were in lanes they shouldn't have been in.
I mean, that's fair. People are pulling it all over the place to play it.
I do like the idea of his kit. The slows on the autos, I think, is interesting, but it can be pretty annoying to play against. And I think that the big thing I'm sure Pinzo will talk about, because I heard him mention it a couple times today, is shield. I don't think his shield is as responsive as it needs to be. Like if you're trying to block and cleanse something, you're trying to hit it like right as it's coming, and it's got like a half-second delay on it. It feels from what I've seen people.
So I definitely have a talking point about the shield, because I heard something, because I haven't played it, and we'll talk about that. Pinzo, what are you thinking about Grim.EXE?
I think people are starting to figure out that like he's just another carry that you just build full crit on. Like it's actually just that straightforward. Like trust me, listen, I've tried every build you can think of in your brain right now for Grim. I don't think I've won a game when I haven't built crit.
So is it just crit Caustica, or like how do you
4 crit items of Caustica. That's it. It's actually just not he's borderline unplayable without crit. You just don't do anything. Like you can try the whole like prophecy ability haste thing, and that doesn't work. You can try full mage build, which I actually think is not terrible, but the issue is that he has 2 damaging abilities. He doesn't, right? Like you're playing a mage with 2 damaging abilities. It doesn't do anything. So it's just one of those where it's like you can do some of this other things, and I do think he has some potential build diversity, but like realistically, you just build crit.
Well, anytime you're looking at a hero, you always you can't just talk about the hero inside of a bubble. You have to talk about the opportunity cost. So the question is, okay, mid lane mages, is there any reason to pick him over the current like higher tier mid laners?
I think he's unplayable in mid lane, actually. Yeah. I legitimately don't think you can play the character in mid.
Okay.
He's too gankable. He's literally like pick the most gankable mage, and he's twice as gankable.
Okay, so not a mid laner, which definitely means he's not an off laner, and obviously not a jungler.
I actually think he's legitimately better in the off lane than he is in the mid lane.
That's interesting.
because
Why?
it's easier. Because I think it's easier to space melee characters, and I think your bubble gets more value against most offlaners.
I mean,
Okay.
so even with that said, that's not you co-signing playing him offlane seriously, though, right? You know what
Oh,
I
I
mean? Like,
highly wouldn't recommend
yeah,
it.
yeah. Okay, just for the clarity of it. Okay, so
Yes,
then
yeah.
let's do the same thing. 80 carries or like carries opportunity cost. Is there any reason to take him over anybody in the roster?
No, not in
My
my opinion.
Yeah, but the only thing that I would say is that like if you're going into a lane that like has some Muriel support already revealed, and you know that there's no like real CC opportunity, and like you might have to spell shield the Muriel ult or the gank setup from the jungler, so you're just like uber safe. But that would really be the extent of what I would see. But I'm not a carry main at all. I don't understand that role because I
The
can't hit autos.
There is exactly one issue with playing Grim carry, and it is that you cannot build Demolisher. That is literally quite like that is quite literally
Yeah.
the only issue with it, is that you can't build demo. And demo is just like demo's just like the best item in the game. And so it's like why would you play a character that in the role that benefits from demo the most? Why would you not play a character that can benefit from demo? You know, like that's it. Period. Straight up.
Yeah, I mean that's not great, right? Like because then you're literally choosing to not take a demo at that point.
Well, because
Most
he's
likely.
bad against like dive. He's really bad against dive. And the only time that I think you can play him is against squishy teams. And generally speaking, squishy teams are teams that want to dive you. And it's just like I don't really get it. I mean, he doesn't really kill tanks. Like I maybe like there's a really fringe case where you play Grim because you have like Grux off lane and you really want to play like Feng Mao mid or something like that, and you need magic damage. But even then,
Yeah, like
I just like would rather have a
yeah.
Wang jungle or something like that.
That's just I was gonna say there's definitely options to split the power up like that. So my experience personally is very limited. I don't really buy the new characters unless they're junglers. Like ever since I haven't had to buy Argus or Grim, and I might buy them like at some point if I need them for ranked and like switching and
I
stuff.
mean, don't you have like how much amber do you have?
Oh, I have more than enough. I don't want. I'm not gonna play him. You know what I mean? Like I'm like.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, I just
mean,
like
that's
I'm
fair, I
quite
guess.
literally like a one trick of my role, right? Like I'm not a literal
Okay.
one trick, but I just want to play my role. I don't even like playing off lane. Actually, I think I would rather play mid instead of off lane, which is funny because like I don't really play that many mids. I'll just play like 2 heroes. But that all that aside the point, my experience is just playing against him, and he like, doesn't feel anything
do
special at all. I'm just like, oh okay, this is like it just like he just looks like a shiny piece of gold. So I just kind of wipe him off the map and then keep moving. But yeah, he seems a little underwhelming, which kind of an interesting thing to talk about. Really quickly, I'm going to put a pin on that thought. I think I heard Soul Reaper say that his shield is technically worded wrong. Like but I could have misheard him because again, I was like half listening at work. He said it's like it doesn't block an ability; it blocks the first instance of damage. How does that work, or how does that
Well,
sound?
I mean,
I don't think it's supposed
technically
to.
that's true. I
So
mean,
it's not
if
even
you
like
get
a
hit by a
true like
Gideon
spell
ultimate, it'll
shield.
only block the first tick. It
Yeah,
doesn't make you immune to the Gideon ultimate.
So
If
that's not even
I'm
that,
assuming that's
like-
what he's talking about.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, it would have to be things that have like a continual amount of damage.
Yeah, I mean, it only blocks the first tick, but it works the same way that spell bubble works. So
Hmm.
like,
Okay.
I don't think it's terrible. I mean, the ability, I don't know, man. I just don't think the ability is very good, realistically. And like latency / delay issues aside, I don't even know how good it is.
I think that the problem, one of the other big problems with it is that the reward is just mana, right? Like if you get it, it just gives you some mana, but literally your
That's
auto
the
attacks.
thing.
Your auto attacks give you mana. Like
Well,
give it
did you play Fault Lance?
no. I looked at the fact that game ran on 15 FPS and was like, I'm out. But
Well, so in Fault, Grim's shield, if you successfully blocked an ability, the cooldown was cut in half.
Bro,
All right,
I was
more
gonna
than
say,
you
I was
got.
gonna say, if you actually do it, the condition, like the reward, should be substantial. I was thinking because I obviously this hero is incredibly new to me. I was thinking if you get it, like if you successfully block something, then you get like an attack speed steroid, right? And so then you could
Right.
like giga ramp your mana up, or you could slow the shit out of them and do a bunch of damage. Of course.
I think it would be nice to have something extra on it, but at the same time, like again, I just don't think the idea that blocking a single ability in a fight will save a very, very
Yeah, no.
immobile, ginormous hitbox carry. Like it's unrealistic. one ability is not going to save you in a fight, like hardly ever. Maybe in a 1v1, like you can block Drongo's Rad Rounds explosion with it, which like it does cut a lot of Drongo's damage off in a 1v1, but it's just, then what? Now what?
Now everybody else shows up and you die.
Yeah, I just don't think, I don't know. I will say, I think late game, he is very strong. I think 5 items deep, he is actually legitimately one of the strongest carries.
Wait.
But I think getting there is just so unrealistic. Like, you should be, I feel like if I was playing against a Grim, like in scrims or something like that, I just feel like there's no way that guy isn't 0-10 at 10 minutes. I just don't know how you would play around that character enough to keep him alive to get him to the point in the game where he's strong.
Okay.
I got it though, boys. This is wildly unbalanced, so don't quote game dev Lance here. But you make it, and I'm thinking with my Magic the Gathering brain here, but you just turn it into a deflecting palm, right? You shield the damage, and it returns it to the person that was going to deliver it to you.
I mean,
that's
that,
an old shield though.
Even that is that enough though? Because like what if it's just like an ability? You know what I mean? Like, is that like
right? But what if it's an ult? You know, like I think that it kind of that part of it balances, and the ability obviously gets a lot way stronger the later the game goes there. But I don't know if that's balanced or not. It was just an idea that I had for what you could get.
At least it's like a
reward
skill thing, right? Because like then you're like it's on you to know if he has it, right, or to bait it or to get it out, you know.
Right.
I mean, I would almost say like
the right thing, right?
Yeah.
I would almost say make it like Ravana 2 from Smite. Like, just if he successfully blocks something, give him like 0.75 seconds of invulnerability.
There's so many things that you could give as a reward for that, right? Because like, okay, you could give invulnerability, you could give damage returned back, you could give, like I said, like an attack speed steroid, you could give like if you block something, like your next 5 autos are 100% crit. You know what I mean? Like you could give anything. Like there's definitely a way to do more than it just being a block that has basically no reward other than mana, which is, that doesn't sound consequential at all.
Yeah. No, I think like again, like Giga late game, I do think he's quite strong, but I haven't really found a way to make him get there consistently. I don't know. I will say, like, I've one-shot people with his ultimate, right? Like that. I do think that late game, you literally walk into a fight, you ult the enemy mid laner, GG, they can't fight, right? I think that's legitimately the way to play him. I just think it's not good enough.
Unlucky. Lance, any other thoughts about Grim.EXE?
Yeah,
I can't call him that.
I don't care what the first trailer said. I'm always going to call him Grim.EXE.
Yeah,
Grim.EXE.
That's all.
Okay. Well,
Grim.EXE also makes me feel like he needs like a purple skin, you know. Like make him look like the Grimace from McDonald's. I'm a big Grimace fan.
Oh, Grimace, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, hey, look, a new hero in the roster. I will say, I feel like he came out underwhelming, which is never great for a release because it doesn't really, it makes the game feel like it didn't really get anything when it did. And also, it being like the first release that kind of is coming out a little underwhelming post open beta doesn't feel super great. But obviously they can buff him and hopefully we'll see some changes for him and see where he can fall.
I do have one thing that's along those lines, but it's not necessarily about like Grim specifically. I know that they're trying to bring in all of the old Paragon heroes, and there's not really a support left to come in. The game does not need another carry / kind of mid laner. The game needs a support really bad.
Yeah. I think that they should definitely like.
We just got Argus.
Develop up like.
Yeah, I know, Pinzo. I know.
I mean, well, so here's the thing: if we're talking meta, like, yes, absolutely a support, but like, it would be nice for them to like clearly develop a support. Does that make sense? Like, where it's like, oh, okay, this is truly just a support, like the way that like Rampage and Kai are like junglers, or for example, like right, like you know. Not everything has to work both ways, and it's also super cool whenever you see something that is like has like a really heavy support identity. All right, so let's jump to our second topic, which is the PCC 7. We are fresh out of the group stages. We had the Swiss stage, which is new to PCC 7, and next weekend it's next, not this coming weekend, not the weekend we're in, but next weekend we're going to be in the top 8 finals. Lance, tell me about this PCC. Tell me about your role in the PCC. Tell me about the history of the PCC. Just talk PCC with me.
The history of the PCC is long. We've been around a little bit over a year now. We started off, I think we were called Agora Reawakening or some shit like that, and we moved away from one of the founders, decided to rebrand ourselves because we decided to rebrand ourselves, and we just kind of been doing it since then. There's now at this point, I think we've got about 30 to 35 people that are like working on it in
Damn.
different departments and facets of it, which is mind-boggling.
That's
to me.
crazy. Yeah.
Because I remember I was around for the very first one we ever did, and there was like 5-6 of us tops. So the fact that it's grown to where it is kind of surreal to take a step back and think about. I was actually thinking about this earlier today, Krashy, because I used to watch your Pokemon Unite content before this game had ever came
Yay.
around. And when I heard that you were playing this, I played with you like one time in the public server a long time ago, but now to the point that I've like developed some sort of like small relationship with you
Yeah.
where like we're doing a podcast together, we've done some PCC stuff together. Like it's just kind of nuts that PCC has taken off the way that it has.
Yeah, man.
And honestly, it's off of the sweat of a large group of people, but there's like a prime like 8 or 9 of us that
Prime.
kind of have the reins of it though. And this is our 7th one. This is the first one that we're doing like fully community funded as well. Like I guess technically all of our other prize pools came from members of the community as well. But this is the first one that we're doing like an open fundraiser registration for, where we've got like goal incentives that we're trying to get to so that we can have consistently large prize pools. We're already over 1,000, so it's, I mean, at least secured that the winner's going to get something pretty good.
And Lance, let me cut you off really quick. Cinna asked a perfect question in the chat because it's kind of just well known, but for anybody that doesn't know, what is the PCC?
Oh yeah, I guess that's a really good starting spot, isn't it? Huh?
Yeah,
so we're the Prime Championship Circuit. We are a competitive predecessor scene. We're open to everybody. It's not like skill capped like some of the like higher ones is, but the community seems to fancy it to be the premier prestige, like high competition tournament that's going on, because there's a lot of really good community ones ran. There's the one that they do every Friday that is like still competitive, but there's like Brotherhood Friendly Cup where you're kind of drafting players. Shout out to Pinzo for being on Team Lance. We'll talk about that later, Pinzo. I got a bone to pick with you. But but yeah, we're just a community ran tournament. We do events every like 2 or 3 months, kind of depending on our availability. We've got the second largest Discord that's dedicated to Predecessor on Discord, which is also nuts to think about. And we stream on Twitch and YouTube. You can find us the 20th and 21st. They're making Lance work a holiday.
Now, with some of the videos that I posted from PCC, I get like a common question. It's like, how do I sign up? How do I play? And I'll just answer for you. The beauty, or at least my favorite part, and you can dive into this more, is I remember getting into esports and gaming way back in the MLG days, and it's just, hey, you pick your boys or girls, you sign up, make a team name, and you show up and play, right? The open format, I love that. I think it makes it super inclusive. It really does give people the opportunity to start in their competitive careers. And, it's a lot of work, and there's a lot of good teams that sign up, especially for, like you said, the premier PCC. And I'm going to give my opinion about why I think PCC is like, the home of Pred Esports for the time being. But yeah, I really love the open format of it all.
And I linked the Discord that we have in your chat here on Twitch, Krashy. Anybody can join that. We've got a bunch of sections in it. You just kind of like go in and fill out what role you want, whether you're like just a community member or you want to participate. And then we've got like a looking for teams, looking for subs, looking for scrim section. A lot of places to go in there and like link up with people that are looking to be competitive and put a bunch of time in scrims into. So we'll always, as far as we know, we are hoping to always remain open to as many teams as possible. It does make it much more difficult for us that are like organizing it, because a lot of the times like the community sees like the 8 or 9 or like 8 to 12 teams that make main event or get really close to making main event. We got about 15, 20 teams on top of those that are also needing to be like managed and told what to do and have the same roster issues and the switches, and all of a sudden Toronto doesn't have power and like their whole team is gone, and that stuff happens. So we always want to keep it like that though, because I think that's part of why the community is like taken to us the way that they have, is the fact that anybody can participate in it and theoretically anybody can win it.
Yeah. No,
I love ground up stuff like that.
Well,
Anything
so
that you can be unknown and sign up for, I think is fantastic.
and this is why I'm going to give my opinion about why I think PCC is great, and then we're going to actually like talk a little bit about actual PCC 7. It truly comes from the fact that like y'all are just a group of people that dove in and started doing it, but the production doesn't look that way. Like it literally looks like the production looks like y'all are. Well, and again, I mean, obviously y'all have grown and scaled up now, but like it's always looked that way. It's always looked really, really incredible and looks like super, super impressive. And I remember the first time I was like talking about like doing casting and stuff with y'all, I was just blown away with how it looked. But yeah, let's talk about, and again, shout outs to Choice Plays, definitely. Let's talk about PCC 7. We just kicked off this event, last weekend? I already get my timing mixed up. And we had Swiss. Swiss is a new format. How did you, what are both of y'all's opinions of Swiss? Pinzo, let's start with you. What do you think about the Swiss stage?
I thought it was very interesting. I'd never done something like that before, so it was one of those where I was like, yeah, this like looking at it on paper, I'm like, okay, they're making us play a bunch of extra games. Like, we know the teams that are gonna make top 16. Like, come on, let's speed it up. But through the Swiss, I mean, there was I don't know. I can think of at least one team that people would have thought made top 16 that didn't, or maybe two or three, right? And it's just like, okay, that actually was like an interesting way to get these top 16 teams before groups. It was one of those where it's like, it is kind of, you'll hear the argument because there's some RNG in it. And it's like, oh, we got unlucky. We should have been there. But at the same time, it's like, well, if you should be top 16, you should realistically win enough games to make top 16. Like that, right? That's end of story. So I thought it was very interesting. I would be curious to see how it would do with more teams. Like if we got to the point where we had, because there were 26 signed up for this one. If we got to the point where we were at, 50 teams or something like that, how would that even work? I mean, you'd have to do like prelims for like the Swiss round, which is just like, am I thinking a little bit big? But I thought it was very interesting. In conclusion, I liked the Swiss. I thought it was good.
Lance, what did you think about Swiss on the PCC side?
I hope that Swiss is the last format we ever change to, because we have had a lot of format changes throughout our time. And that's largely due to the fact that we haven't really found something that worked super well. Beforehand, when we were lumping people into groups and then having playing groups, like Pinzo talked about the RNG that can come into play with Swiss. That RNG is much stronger when you're taking two teams out of like a 6-team pool. Like, you're super dependent on who you're going to get. And some people were victims of that. Some people were fortunate because of that and made events in the past. This way, like, you have to play your way in no matter what. You're going to run through good teams, and you might get lucky and have like one of the or an opponent that's like a lower tier than you are in the first round or two. But by the time we were in our third, fourth, fifth rounds, like they're the teams that were screaming against each other all over the time.
Yeah.
And there are two things for me that were a really big takeaway from it. We do a lot of reflecting in like internally at PCC, and if you go back to what we did in January for PCC 6, our group stage games all sucked. They were all total shit kickings. The broadcast experience wasn't good because it was like professors beating up on a team of I don't want to like accidentally talk shit about any of those guys, but like they were just beating the piss out of people that are just not as good of gamers as they are. And it's not fun to watch. It's not fun to cast. It's not fun to try to inflate, because like we're there to make it look appealing and make it look like these guys are god gamers and that the event is super high quality and stuff. And it's really hard to do that if a team loses 35-2. Like, there's not a lot of analysis to provide for it. So I like that it got much higher quality games for the audience to be able to see. I also like hardcore think that it takes any sort of, well, we should have made top 16, we should have made top 8, like, out of it. If you should have, you would have beat the people that were in front of you, and you didn't. So you're obviously not a top 16 team, in my opinion.
And in the event that maybe say, I don't know, like 2 teams are tied and they have to do like a tiebreaker or something. Like, if you're competitive, you'll win that tiebreaker and move on, right?
Well, if you accept it, you will.
Exactly. No, okay. Personally, for me, I thought Swiss was great. I thought it was really, really fun. It gives you the opportunity to like actually play some games and like just try to come out of it. And if you fall short a game, and if you come back next time, like I really thought it was like a guaranteed way for y'all to like constantly follow the top part of the record for broadcast. So you can always follow the high part of the records because each stage is going to have, you know, the teams that are facing off against each other. And then, you know, it still gives everybody else the opportunity to actually play.
The other thing about it that I like as well is like some of those teams on the lower end of it, right? We had gotten some feedback from some of our teams that weren't qualifying for the main event. And they're like, hey, we're still putting time into this. And because of the way that it was set up, we play 2 games and we know we're out. So we just like, it's not fun for us anymore. We're signing up for this. We're putting a month or two's worth of effort into it to play 2, maybe 3 games. This way, everybody at least gets to play 4 or 5 games.
Yeah.
And once you start going against those like lower ones, it gives us a better look at the scene, totally top to bottom as well. Because if you go into that tournament website, it'll tell you where every single one of those teams placed 1 to 26. So even like the lower quality teams know what like the potential up and coming teams are and who's getting close. Like there is a team Speakeasy, right? They've been in a couple of our events. I really like their ADC. He's like a friend of mine. We met through Pred and have gotten like close sense. His name's Chubbinator, right? He has used to get carried by F6, but now F6 is on Team PCC, and his team made the top 16, and I like wouldn't have expected them or really paid any attention to them in the event if it wasn't for the fact that they had made it to that stage. So for them as a motivator as well, it like shows improvement.
Yeah.
Beforehand, it's just, hey, we didn't make it through groups. Now it's like, hey, we may have not qualified, but we were 5. There's like 5 teams between us and being able to qualify. So it like puts the goalpost in view, I guess, is probably a good way to say it too.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it just feels like you're guaranteed more event, which I think is great. So yeah, we now have gone through the groups, and we have the top 8 coming up. Do y'all have any thoughts before we move on? I mean, we're obviously Pinzo, me and you are playing in it. We're gonna give it our all. We got a tough matchup. We're practicing and doing what we can. But yeah, big shout outs to the team, to our boys that we got in there. We came in there and kicked some ass on a weekend and made top 8.
You guys have chefs first round, right?
Mm-hmm.
We do.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna keep this a buck with you guys. I did pick them to make it through your side.
Yeah,
I have them
fair.
beating you in the quarterfinals. But I was talking. So
wait, do you have them beating Indecisive?
Yes, I do. But hold on. I'm about to put like an asterisk kind of on this, right? I didn't really talk about what my role with PCC earlier is, but I'm our talent coordinator, right? So like I'm the person that is reaching out to all of these people, like getting Sockcap and Grady and Joe, yours truly, and people like Krashy and Pinzo who have done things with us in the past to come in and like help us with content. I do a lot of like helping with our casters and our on-screen talent to like develop and have like a finger on the idea of like what's going on within the scene and like who these players are, just because like the size isn't really there yet. Like these people don't have like hundreds of thousands of Twitter followers except for Pinzo. But I was talking with some of the talent earlier today about the quarterfinal matchups, and I think I've got a pretty good idea of who's going to win all of them. And I think the best chance for what I would consider to be an upset is you guys over chefs. And I think that that's partially because I know that Krashy's got a bunch of esports experience, that you've got skilled individual players, and that chefs can be a little wonky sometimes. Sometimes Seismic cannot show up all of the way. Sometimes Sneaks can decide he wants to do something trolly and play Greystone mid. Like, you guys have the capabilities of catching them if they slip.
The eclipse,
and I also
the eclipse just crossed. It might have been all we needed. Like we're in there, you know.
Any given Sunday, man.
I also wouldn't say that either D-Labs or Flow State winning would be an upset, because I think that they're both pretty solid teams.
Very even teams.
I think you could really make a case that neither one of them is like the prototypical like favorite, but I think the other 3 quarterfinals have them. But I think you guys might be able to beat chefs if they have like a little bit of wonkiness, or if they try to get too cute with you guys.
Listen,
I think you can catch them.
I'll keep it brief on this note, but all I know is every time we scrim, I feel like it's not just like, oh, we got a little better. It's like massive strides. It's like, oh shit,
right.
That's it.
I agree.
Like the last scrim we played, we literally talked at the end of it. I was like, that was a huge hole. It's filled now. Like, we're good. And then we've done that every single time, right? And so yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm ready to move on to the next topic. Do y'all have any other last finishing thoughts on PCC 7 coming up? Looking forward to it.
Can I do one? I'm going to plug it one more time. Watch us
Run
on
wild.
Twitch, Prime Championship Circuit. Follow the Discord. I posted it earlier.
Links
I
in
don't
the description.
links in the description. Krashy still has our April 29th event from last year.
I do. I saw it today too.
This is the month that it's the most important that you take that down so people don't get the dates wrong, please.
True.
But check us out. We work stupid hard for it. Shout out Choice Plays specifically.
All right, dude. Big shout outs to Choice Plays in the PCC. We're looking forward to that event. Love it when it comes around. When I don't play in it, I always feel sad. I was going to be on the desk for it, ended up playing in it. Dude, it's fun time all around. Definitely a big part of the glue for the Predecessor community. And speaking of Predecessor and the community, we have now entered open beta, free to play. It's an entire bullet point. This is a huge moment in the development cycle and life cycle of most games. Pred specifically, we're seeing, big jumps in player base and viewership and sponsors and advertisements. Pinzo, what are your overall thoughts, feelings, sentiment? How are you doing with the open beta launch?
Yeah, I mean, overarchingly, I think that it has been a pretty massive success, to be honest. I do think, I mean, like, I have some, I don't know if they'd be personal, but I have like smaller gripes with it that are more like, again, they're smaller, like things like, I don't know, I feel like the game is still missing a couple of pretty key things to hold new free to play players. But overall, I do think that I don't know how you could look at any of the numbers and be like, yeah, this isn't a huge success. So,
Lance, how are you feeling with the free to play launch?
I don't really notice anything that's really different about it. I like that they are, stepping up and trying a little bit harder with some of the content and like putting some more fluff into all of it. Like the sprays that come out for both of the like more premier skins from the last patch are nice and stuff, but like Pinzo saying, I'm not sure that that's like really enough for it. And I think that we're going to continue to have that answer that like it's just missing that thing, as if it's some mysterious thing that we don't all know is just like a ranked mode. I think that's
a take, yeah.
Kind of my thoughts about it.
It's number one for sure.
It might be number 1, 1A, 1B, 1C, and then like
Okay, I mean, I'll definitely step on the gas on that one. I think ranked is the number one thing that this game needs. But for me, I have an interesting take on the release of free to play open beta. I think that by all measurement, it's a success. Like I'm with you there, with the caveat of me saying I think it's incredibly disappointing. Like it's a success, and seeing numbers bigger, that's awesome. But the actual like free to play launch, super disappointing. There's like nothing new really. I mean, we got Grim pretty shortly after. The problem with the game for me is that obviously, and we're going to talk, it's literally the next point. So it's so obvious that people want to play this game and they get excited about it. But it just like it's missing like a third of the game. It feels like there's just so much of the like little bitty things in every system, not just like missing a ranked mode. It's like one little thing in every section of the game that's missing that makes the game feel like an incomplete game, which it is. So I guess it's fair. But yeah, I'm a little disappointed with it. But seeing bigger numbers and seeing people excited about it, that's good and absolutely a success. So I'm not super doom and gloomer on it, but a little disappointed.
I like know that you've heard this argument against you before, Krashy, but I think that it's also like important to remember that a lot of the audience and like probably 80 to 90% of the audience and player base are pretty ignorant people that don't necessarily understand what you deserve as a consumer and like what sort of things can be in a game.
Well, they're also new, so they have way more at their fingertips. So I actually think that like that sentiment like isn't probably going to be shared by the vast majority, and that's fine. Like it's more of just like if you've been here a while, like we really didn't get a whole lot, and that's like it's disappointing, but it's like absolutely a step in the right direction, and it's absolutely been successful. And so that's why I'm saying like I thought I would be more upset about it than I am. I'm not really upset. Like I said, I'm just kind of in that, like, I'm a little disappointed, but like, we're rocking, we're moving.
Yeah.
I think go ahead, Pinzo. I've said enough about this.
I don't know, man. For me, it does. I mean, it just feels, I don't know. It feels a little funky because we got this big, like, the big announcement of open beta free to play, and then the patch that it came out in was like absolute
Like a
just
nothing burger.
nothing burger
Yeah, it was
patch. I
nothing.
mean,
Yeah.
like literally nothing changed. And then the next patch that we got, which was, yesterday, was also just very nothing burger in my opinion, right? And it's like
Minimal.
it's very minimal. And now we wait 3 weeks for another patch, and it's like, okay, so essentially we've been playing on the same patch for 5 weeks already. Free to play players have been playing on it for 2 weeks, and now they have another 3 weeks to play on the same patch. Does the average player care about that? Honestly, I don't know. I don't think I've ever really been the average player in most games that I play. So, like, I really don't have that mindset. I just don't know. But that's one of the things that I'm looking at is like, I do think that there are some huge things that it needs, like ranked. I think casual game mode is also incredibly important when a lot of your player base is console. I think the casual game mode is another really big thing for player attention. But it's just like, okay, even looking at the things we can get before ranked and the things we can get before casual game mode, it just feels very nothing burger to me.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, definitely feels a little disappointing. I think that there's probably a reason for it, and I don't understand it. But I wish that like one of the two things that are coming up, one being 6-item slot, the next one being the new 3v3 mode, one of those things should have absolutely been on free to play launch. And in my opinion, I really think that it could have been both, which that's like a tall order, obviously, since it's neither. But the reason why I think it could have been both, or should have been both, maybe, is that if it's just the 6-item patch, it doesn't actually feel like a big drop. So I probably would have been disappointed with that too. So that's why I think the map or like the new mode would have been good with it. But if you get a bunch of new players in and they learn this item system, and then right after, like, they're all brand new, they're all barely getting acclimated, and we're about to dump like a 6-item change on them, and that timing is just so like stupid. It's just so stupid.
I agree.
So I don't know why you wouldn't at least try to coincide those. Again, I'm sure there is a very literal reason they just couldn't, right? Because if they would have, if they could have, they probably would have. But it's unfortunate. So like a bunch of new players literally just got into the game, but they're gonna have to like completely relearn items. I mean, it's like completely. It'll be probably pretty light, but they're gonna have to relearn items and a new slot, and it's just bizarre. So
yeah. I agree. I mean, like, what does someone who doesn't really like follow Pred closely, right? They just boot it up and play a game or two a night, right? What if they load it up on patch day and suddenly they can buy 6 items? Are they just going to be like, "What the fuck? What am I like? What is this? Am I bugged? Is this game broken?" Like, I don't know. Is it a confusion aspect?
I
feel like it would have just been so much
mean,
more simple.
It would have been
It
simple because
changes-
they would have learned into it as all. Like
Exactly.
I guess, but like other than the fact that they have to like probably scale everything down a tiny bit to like make the curve still work, a 6-item slot doesn't like super change the game for a casual person. Like
I don't think it's going
you
to
guys-
change the
you-
game, but
you guys have a really
item
deep
changes.
understanding of the item sets and like how to counter build and what you could do to slot in like a piece of utility or like a really needed item for something. But the other person just could go, I'm going to build a 150% crit on Drongo because they're passive. And
yeah,
like,
but there's
it's not
definitely
gonna
like
change
a
anything for
but there's
them.
definitely like multiple groups, right? Like you're gonna have the people that don't read the items. Those people are basically unaffected. Then you're gonna have the people that are new that we're really learning. Like they have been, and they're gonna like sit on this patch for about 5 weeks. Where like now they're starting to get comfortable, and now they're starting to learn the items. And again, I don't expect the items to be vastly different. I'm sure some of them will be broken up. They said that there's going to be new items, so there's going to be some new that will probably have like old passives or will be completely new entirely. And it's just for that group of people, and for everybody else, it's like it just would have been a little bit better for them to sync it up. Do I think it's existential? No. It's more of me just like really stepping on the point of like that open beta launch in most games is like a big moment, and in this game it just felt like the thing we did. And so yeah, a little disappointing. We did get some marketing out of it, so I think that like that's probably been the most exciting part. Like if we're being honest, the most successful, most exciting part about Pred right now is just that the numbers are up. Like we're looking at the numbers and everybody's, we're all excited about it because it's like, oh shit, like content's popping off, streams have been popping off. Some of the people that have been playing from the sponsorships are actually kind of enjoying the game and saying nice things. And I think that this will probably walk us into that next point if y'all are good to go with me. We got that funny feeling about Pred, right? We got that giddy feeling. And what do I mean by that? People are excited. Like people are feeling optimistic. They're feeling hopeful. They're feeling that sentiment that we all feel across the board, that there is absolutely and always has been a lot of interest in playing this game because it's different. So what do y'all think about that funny feeling, that optimism, that hopeful feeling of the numbers are up, the game is booming, there's press, there's this, that, the other?
Yeah, I mean, yay for now.
Yeah.
Yay. It's good. I mean, again, obviously everything is way up. That is obviously a good thing. Fingers crossed, mostly, right? I mean, it gets to the point where it's like, I played Fault throughout its entire lifetime. Is this game gonna end up kind of doing the same thing? Hopefully not. I sure as hell hope not. But it's always kind of that lingering thing, right? There have been three other paragons and none of them have made it, right? And so it's like, is that Pred's future? Is it just doomed? I think they're doing a good job. I think they're doing as much as they can, right? But it's like, is this something that's going to happen? I mean, it's always just kind of in the back of your mind. So as of now, obviously feeling good, but
Lance?
Never doubted it for a goddamn second, Krashy. I've known the whole time Pred was going to be a great success. I'm like semi-trolling here, but I've always been like leaning towards a sign of optimism with it. And I don't know if that's because of like where my spot in the or in the like competitive community was, where I like gain a decent amount from Pred. I've made like a bunch of really good friends and I'm like doing something that I'm like pretty proud of because of Pred. So it's giving me a bunch of stuff. So I've always forcefully been optimistic about its future and like what was going on with it, because I just was super sucking on copium and I just am getting a little bit lucky that I've been on that side so far, I would say. But I do like that the numbers are up, but I've been watching some of the like newer people that are getting into Pred that like have a decent audience, and I do see some of them like experiencing those growing pains. I was watching somebody today, I'm not gonna like mention who it was,
say
but
names. Say names.
I'm not saying his name right now. I don't like know him well enough to just like drop his opinions on somebody else's podcast without like confronting him about it. But he was talking about how there was like nothing to do after you clear the wave in the ADC role. He was trying out Grim, and he's like, it's so dangerous. So like I go up, I clear this wave, it pushes to close to their tier 1, then they push it back, it meets in the middle or meets on my side, and he was literally killing the wave and turning around and running to his tier 1 tower and sitting in his tier 1 tower until the wave pushed back to him. But he was hardly losing any farm because the elo that he was in, because he was on a new account, the enemy ADC was just shoving it right back to him, not freezing on him or anything. So I think that like some of the growing pains are a little bit tough for the new people, and I'm a little worried about the sticking power and keeping those people interested in the game, which I actually wanted to talk to you about, Pinzo, because I know you've been playing with some of the like bigger Smite people, and like if you thought they were going to continue and have longevity in the game. Like I know Fine OK was tweeting that the game is sick, which shout out to him because he's right about that. But is it sick enough to make him like not play Smite 2?
Well, okay.
Smite 2 scares the shit out of me as somebody who's invested in Pred. I'll be like transparent about it.
Step 1 on answering your question, there is absolutely a 0% chance that Fine OK does not play Smite 2,
Yeah.
right? Like, obviously he plays Smite 2. Does Pred keep him away from Smite 2, like in any sense of long-term capacity? I mean, the thing about it is like, even if you're not, like, let's say in a hypothetical where you're not God Gamer, right? You're like decent at video games, but you have to, when you're playing Pred, you have to learn the game, right? You're not game 1, you're that guy. You have to learn the game. You have to figure out how it plays. When you get to a point where you're like, all right, I think I know what's going on. I think I, kind of understand this. You go to the Q button, and the only thing there is casual mode, right? There's no ranked, and that is the first thing that will push people away, in my opinion, is people who are like, okay, I'm getting the hang of this. Where's the ranked button? Like, I want to see how good I am. I want to grind for something, and there's no ranked. Like, that is the number one issue. Again, specifically with like Smite streamers coming to Pred, is that I just don't think any of them will stay in long-term capacity without ranked. So if ranked is 4 months away, they won't stick around for 4 months, in my opinion.
So my take, and to just to be clear, like the open beta free to play and this kind of discussion kind of go hand in hand because it's about that optimism that we're feeling. My take is that I actually don't think the game was free to play ready at all. I think that it's missing far too much content, systems, and reasons to keep playing. That what my original sentiment was, and I think I was definitely being harsh, was that the game is going to see a massive player base plummet over the next 3 months from the launch of free to play, and I think I'm still riding that perspective. I just don't see how we retain people when there's nothing to do. And now we're about to hopefully get the 6th item, and then we're going to hopefully get another game mode, but that still puts ranked really far out there. And when I was talking about like how every part of this, every system of this game or every facet of this game, always, it feels like it's missing something in every category. One of those things is anything to unlock other than the affinity system, which, I mean, I'm just a huge bummer on the affinity system. So some of those people are going to grind the affinity system, but they're looking at their amber, and luckily they're new, so they probably have a bunch of heroes to unlock, but there's no content to unlock outside of affinity, and you can't unlock it with amber, and you can't unlock skins with amber. And then you know what? It's like, damn, that's kind of annoying. Let me click on my profile. Let's go see what's in my profile. Oh, not a goddamn thing in there. Profile is bare bones and empty. There's nothing in there. Okay, well, what kind of game modes does this have? Oh, 5v5 casuals, no other game modes. Like, every category of the game is missing something. And so I feel like the game is super, like, not open beta ready. I do think that we're going to see a player base downtrend over the next handful of months, and I love this optimism because it reminds me the same thing that I've always known, which is that people want to play this game. It's unique enough to play this game. The fine OKs of the world get their hands on it, and it feels good to play. And then when they get past that honeymoon, they look forward and they say, well, what's next? And they find that there's nothing there.
So I agree with that point, and like I've said before, I'm sitting on the copium optimism side of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
But what I would hope that they're aiming for in something like that is they get people to know what it is, right? You plant that seed that this is this game, and then they download it. Oh, it's okay or whatever. And then when those things are ready, they're like, oh, I have an account for that game, because then they push marketing really hard. And I don't know. I don't pretend to be a marketing expert, even though marketing is a shit ton of my real life job. I don't think it's a great strategy to hope that people come back later. I think a first impression is something you get one chance at making. So that part does scare me a little bit about it, because not everybody's got the huge blood rush for Paragon that pretty much everybody that was in the original open of it way back in December of, was that 22? Goddamn, of December of 22, when it was basically just people that had played Paragon or were really or friends with people who had played Paragon. Because that's kind of what got me into it and got me super interested, was how much I liked Paragon. But that game died for a reason. There wasn't enough people that were in love with it, so it'll be interesting to see where they go, I guess.
Yeah, and it definitely is something to consider, because I don't want the game to go in that direction, and I do think that it might, and that would scare me a little bit. But we know what's out now. I'm hoping that it doesn't take too long to get to the ranked mode. One of the things that I said pretty early on was that, or when they announced the open beta, was that I was really hoping that ranked was no longer than a month away, and there's no way. So I really think that getting the ranked mode has to be a really big priority for them, although we did get kind of a little bit of a roadmap, right? And so we have to kind of see what do y'all think about this? I'm going to go ahead and pull it up on the screen. We have the Predecessor open beta. This is kind of a roadmap that's not really a roadmap. They didn't really call it a roadmap, but it essentially is. So it's kind of this graphic that they posted on Twitter, and it's letting you know that the game has, coming soon, launching to open beta. And they have this green light, right? And the green light is like, all right, cool, we've accomplished that. Moving on. Next is 6 item slots, then new game mode, then ranked mode, and more to come. So it's like a pseudo roadmap. What do y'all think about this with the information that, 6 item slot is coming next, and then making that assumption that like new game mode will come before ranked mode?
I mean, I think this is the right order to do it in.
I was going to say the exact opposite thing.
Really?
Yeah.
I think this is the right order. I think that the only issue is that the open beta is before the other things. Like, I think open beta should have been when the casual game mode came out.
I think that ranked and new game mode should be flopped. And then like 6 items should come at the same time as open beta, like we had discussed earlier. But other than that, like, it's okay. I just hope that there's enough like juice within that as well. If I was going to make a roadmap, one of the things that I would want to see on it is the ability to spend amber on things like affinity and other random things, emotes, sprays. Like, I think sprays should be able to be purchased with amber. I think that makes sense. And I know that they're trying to like profit off of the art that they're making because they're paying artists to do it. But just the idea of those sort of things being able to bought with some sort of, or to be purchased with some sort of currency that you can earn for playing, I think would have been a home run for this section of time too. But other than that, like, what are we really expecting other than like a ranked mode and a casual game? I'll be real with you, as somebody who played like pretty much nothing but ARAM and League of Legends for 5 years, I couldn't give a shit less about a casual game mode and Predecessor. I'm
well, so
it's
so funny.
It's not for you, Lance.
And that's the thing.
It's
It's not for some of us, but that doesn't mean that the game doesn't need it. And dude, my take is always the same, even if I'm not saying it. So I'm just gonna say it. They're too slow. They need to go faster. What should have happened is 28th open beta should have had the 6 item slot and the new game mode. It should have been all of it. And then 1 month later, or 6 weeks later, I guess, it should have been ranked. And you would have gotten this massive surge of players, and they would have actually stuck around. And to be honest, while we're at it, maybe on that second patch you throw in, or like on, I guess, the third patch, the second or third patch, 6 weeks later with ranked, maybe you actually add in amber purchases too. The game's just missing too much. It's missing too much, and we know that. I think ranked, to me, ranked feels like the most important thing. I think a casual mode's important, and it should have probably come out. And 6 item slots is nice for balance and a quality of life update, but to be honest, it's not even like, I don't think it's existential at all. Like, if we never swap to 6 items, like, that wouldn't kill the game. I think it will make the game better. But not having a ranked mode at some point, like, there's always going to be people that look at a MOBA and be like, oh, no ranked mode, and then they're going to dip. And not having a casual mode, it'll be the same thing, right? There's going to be people that are like, oh, I really want to like just fuck around on this game and play it. So yeah, for me, roadmap is like, it's just their pace. Like, we've got this pseudo roadmap, and I'm a little bit worried about the pace, but I'm also worried about the fact that it didn't just release with a lot of these things a little bit faster. So just kind of my thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think, like, for me, I think that with the massive, like, again, so we can see Steam charts is really the only number we can look at. But, like, if you're following something like Smite's numbers, right, even if it's not exact, I mean, 60+% of Smite's player base is console, right? And a lot of those players only play casual modes. They don't even play Conquest. So, like, with that in mind, can you pull a Smite player away from their arena mode to play Pred? And I think the answer is no. Right? Like, and whether or not that's the most important thing, I guess you could leave that up to debate, right? But, like, yeah, I think I would agree that I think their open beta is in the wrong spot on that roadmap. I think the other three things order is fine, but open beta is too far at the front.
Lance, do you have any other thoughts about the pseudo roadmap / we've kind of just pushed these 3 talking points into one?
I mean, I think that the casual game mode can be knocked out of the park as long as it's a good casual game mode. Like,
yeah, I mean, I'm still excited about it.
ARAMs are always a home run. Like, if there's ARAMs, I'll play ARAMs sometimes, right? But if it's like a completely different thing, if it's like a capture or King of the Hill or like a capture the flag or like a team
Yeah.
deathmatchers, I'm like that'll get like some people excited, but for me that sort of stuff doesn't have longevity. But I
I
just want more
think
people
so.
playing.
For me, with the casual game mode, just my thoughts is that I don't even know if I really care what it is. Like, I'll care if it just sucks, but like, I don't really know that I really care what it is as long as it's good, because sometimes I really do want to play Pred without the full investment of playing Pred. Like, and that's for me too. Like,
Right.
sometimes I just want to fuck around. And so there's
That's
going
why
to
I
be
like
people,
ARAM.
there will be people that will never get into ranked Pred and will never play these long form games. They want that 20-minute experience. They want that 15-minute experience. I think you got to captivate that. I mean, honestly, if you ask a lot of the Pokemon Unite community why that game is good, most of them will tell you Pokemon. The very second thing is the fact that it's 10-minute games. They love it.
Mhm.
The short form MOBA is a subgenre of MOBAs that has barely been discovered. It's barely scratched the surface. So I do think it's important. I think it'll be interesting to see. All right, friends, we're getting close to our wrap up. I think we're going to be moving into the last point. Bullish or bearish? How are we feeling about Pred in the future, right? Like we're here, we're open beta, we're free to play, the numbers are up. Honestly, the 1/6 chart that we can see, I say 1/6 because all we can see is Steam out of all the platforms. It doesn't look bad. Like, I mean, I still see some decent viewership showing up. I'm still seeing people talk. I'm unfortunately seeing people put way too much weight in their Omega City profiles. But how are y'all feeling? Bullish or bearish? What are you thinking, Lance?
I'm gonna need an explanation of what the difference between
Yeah, I was
bulls and
gonna
bears
ask the
are,
same
because a
thing.
bull is a big strong animal and a bear is a big strong animal. They
Wait.
seem like they're the same emotion to
Y'all
me.
don't know what bullish or bearish means?
I've never heard this before.
Hold on. Look. All right. Bullish or bearish. Okay. In simple terms, bullish means optimistic about the future trajectory of a stock, while bearish means pessimistic.
See, I would have thought the exact opposite, to be honest.
That's
Well-
super funny.
I'm dumb bullish then.
Dumb bullish.
I'm full
Bullish
of
to a
bullish.
fault, perhaps.
Yeah.
Bullish to a fault. What about you, Pinzo? I mean, you can keep it simple. Like, you feeling good about the future of Pred still? You know, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts?
I think I am. I mean, for me, it's just like when you look at Pred's early access release and how fast the numbers dropped on Steam charts, we're past that point now. And the numbers actually have been going, like, they're the same or going up on Steam charts, right? So, like, the fact that we made it past the 2-week mark and we're at still a good point has me bullish, I would say.
Nice.
That'd be my adjective of choice.
Nice. Yeah, I'll say my hypothesis was that we're going to see a player base downtrend over the next 3 months post free to play release. But I would have expected that the downtrend would have been very aggressive, whereas right now it's actually like if at all, and we'll see over the next 3 months. And I don't care if I'm right or wrong, by the way. It's just a hypothesis. I would prefer to be wrong. Is I think that we'll see a light slot, like, drop off, and then 6 items that'll bring a little bit of interest. Some people will give a shit, some people won't. I think it's going to be good for the game regardless. New game mode, we should see a nice little spike. Like, people are gonna be like, oh fuck yeah, new game mode. They're probably gonna maybe press a little marketing again, press that marketing button again. And then ranked mode, that's good. That ranked mode will probably be the real open beta launch. And I think that that's going to be a very, very big moment for Pred. So I would say, all things considered, I have a lot of opinions, a lot of takes. I'm not bearish. I'm feeling, a little bullish. I feel like what I think is a weird thing. I think that the whatever version or feeling of success that we have now, that should be rubbing off internally. I think that they're probably feeling pretty good, and perspective is important, and I would like to see them ride some of this momentum a little bit and feel good about what they've accomplished, because it's not nothing, that's for sure. They've accomplished a lot and continue to push themselves into the future.
I'm super happy to hear you're optimistic, Krashy.
I mean, I'm always at least a little bit optimistic. I still think that this game is facing some uphill battles. I think the biggest one, if I have to just be honest about my take, is their pace is too slow. It's always been too slow. I think that will inevitably be something that it will inevitably be a problem, because it already is a problem. It could inevitably become existential. If you just because there's a rate at which people get bored of things, and then there's a rate at which a dev studio can create, and if those things are out of whack, then that's going to become a problem. I also think that systems like ranked are evergreen. Like, I think that you have to upkeep them and change them a little bit, but once you've got that in place, once you have that structure in place, it mostly kind of runs itself. A big system that they need to work on is Amber. It's a nothing system. That's gotta see some iteration, and the skins are starting to roll in, and that's good. I still think that may be a little bit too slow, but like I said, the sentiment's the same. I think everything they do is a little bit too slow, but I don't hate what they do. That's the thing. I always love everything they give us. I just wish it was like, in bigger bulk packages
sooner.
Yeah, I definitely have the dev faster take, which I know a lot of people don't love, but hey, man.
I mean, I agree. Like, I would never not agree with that, right? As someone who plays the game daily for the last 15 months.
But dude, people are like,
love to see stuff
again,
go faster,
that funny feeling though, it's legitimate. Like, I see the optimism. I'm seeing the excitement in the Facebook group. I see people excited about things and learning things in Reddit, in YouTube comments. Like, the numbers are up, all things considered. And I think what's more important than anything is, it's not that I think we'll ever retain some of the sponsored people, but I also haven't seen a single sponsored person been like, dude, this game is shit. You know what I mean? Like, there's no one doing that. Yeah. Like, they're all like, oh yeah, this is actually pretty neat. Like, will they stick around? Probably not. And I don't think that's a pretty fucking hard thing to accomplish anyways.
I mean, that's not really the goal of the
exactly. It's not really the goal.
Anyway.
Yeah. But like, some of them, like they play the game and they're like, oh shit, like there's some fucking gameplay here, right? Like, that's essentially what they have to say.
This might be something.
Yeah, this might be something. And that's pretty badass. So, obviously console community is going to be huge. I hope to see us stick around. I want to do something to kind of lead us to the end. If you could give, I'll leave it a little bit open-ended so you can kind of decide how you want to answer. And we'll go with Pinzo and to Lance. If you could give either Ometa 3 pieces of advice, or tell them like 3 things that you think that they need to do, what would it be? Like, what do you think like Pred needs, or you want to give them, or like where's your mind at with that? Just pick 3 things that you think is a positive feedback or idea for Pred.
Like what? Like anything?
Anything. Yeah.
I got it.
Yeah.
I can rapid fire these if you want them.
Go for it, Lance. All you.
Okay. I need a 1v1/ARAM mode. I need more gadget skins, and I need you guys to give 100k to PCC.
I mean, that wouldn't be.
That last one seems a little self-indulgent, but.
And the gadget skins one doesn't.
I want the gadget skins more than anybody else, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
I just
I'm
want
a level 10 gadget.
Back. I just need midriff gadget back. That's actually all that I need.
Oh, you're about the midriff? I'm about the face, dude. Give me your face back. Okay.
For me, it would be like, I would love, again, you say like 1v1/ARAMs. I would love custom game options, right? The option to jump into a custom game and give everyone 100,000 gold, or the option to jump into a custom game and start everyone at level 5. Like, that's the sort of thing. I mean, with that, you could do things like set up 1v1s and stuff like that, right? That would kind of come with the territory. That'd be one of mine. For the love of God, give me ranked. It would be number 2. And then number 3 would be I don't know, man. Don't die. For the love of God, don't die.
Stay alive.
They're working on
it. Okay,
it.
hold on a second.
I mean, like, very simple, to the point.
I got one that's more important than any one that I said, other than maybe 100k to PCC.
Okay.
Give me a quality replay system. Give me a camera that can move through the walls and can turn the foliage off and doesn't get caught around every single one of the pits so that I don't have to cast silhouettes through a wall in a big team fight that decides who gets $3,000. That'd be sick.
Ask Pinzo about my mental the other night. We were trying to VOD
Dude,
review one of
it
our
was
scrims.
bad.
We were trying to VOD review one of our scrims, and the replay mode would just freeze, and I just gave up.
Actually
I was like, okay. I was like, all right, yeah, that would be nice. So my three, dude, it's the game needs a lot. Like I'm just gonna keep it at that because I'm not hating it. I love the game, and I think they're moving, but it needs a lot. My three would be we absolutely need more dev activity. Where the fuck are they? I don't see them. We don't hear from them outside of just their actual posts. They did like one dev stream and they were like, we're going to be doing these all the time. And they pieced the fuck out of there. Like they never came back. I want to see more of them, man. Like if you're at this pace, I think you need to speak more. If you're at a faster pace, I think you can speak less. It's like you afford yourself that. But I feel like we don't get shit from the devs other than Ace popping around. I really want to see them more. I want to see them presenting things to us more. The showing off the ranked mock-up stuff, that's good. Do that in a stream. Just do that, but do it in a stream and talk about it a little bit. Talk about the philosophy. What do you want to accomplish with it? Things like that. The community was pretty ridiculous in that dev stream. I do remember they were being pretty cringe, but the community's cringe all the time. The second thing I would give to them, which now I feel like I'm forgetting my list. I want to see more of them. The second one, don't be shy to rely at minimum on your Creator Guild Discord for feedback on things that are really, really important that are yet to come. That definitely should have happened with Affinity, and y'all, they did the powwow back and forth. That's good. With the ranked mode, please don't just ignorantly drop the ranked mode. First of all, you may nail it. So like, it would be awesome if you just nail it, put it out, but like, just show it to the creator Discord at minimum first. And this is not a self-interest because I'm not in there anymore. So just putting that out there. Rely on the people that are already there, that are basically doing, quote unquote work for free. Like you have a vested interest. So you want to be there. You want to support them, show them all that you have to offer on a big new system that's coming out and get their feedback before you do it. I think it's free 99. You already have internal testers. Agree. So that's a good one. The last one would probably be this is like the idea one. I'm giving like feedback, but I'm going to throw like an idea in here. When you have a lot of the big stuff in place, so it's going to be a bit of time from now, I think you announce like an official tournament, like one big official tournament. It doesn't have to be the most money, it doesn't have to be a LAN event, but take the game into the future. You have all these like great new things in there, like when you have the ranked mode, when there's things to spend Amber on, more of a grind, and then present the game to the world as a competitive title. We already know that it is. I mean,
open beta or launch tournament.
Yeah.
Do what Smite did.
Yeah.
When the game leaves open beta full launch,
I think that if I had to say that they, if they're going to do third party, then I think that there's a great partner out there for them to talk to that's working pretty hard, called the PCC.
At least pick my boy PCC. At least pick my boy choice up, please.
But yeah, seriously, like again, this is no secret. We all know it's a competitive game. We all know they're planning it competitively. We all know the devs played it competitively. It's about like reminding the world that that's the game you're building, right? So it's like, okay, get all the bells and whistles, do a big tourney. We know it's coming anyways. Like I think do it timely is really what I'm saying, because I think that a lot of things with Pred have been very untimely. Land this one. Ranked needs to hit really fucking hard. That's why I'm saying rely on your content creator community for that. Launch tourney or some big tourney also needs to hit really, really hard. So I think try to do your best on that one. Any thoughts, friends?
I agree.
All right.
Higher choice plays on meta.
Wait. On that note, hire freaking who's the guy? Someone said his name earlier. Hire either fucking Shark ZXD
Volume
to make your fucking trailers.
Oh wait,
I'm gonna hire them.
I'm gonna do it. You reminded me. Okay, this goes back to my disappointing free to play point. The trailer they made was dog shit. The trailer they put on the PlayStation YouTube channel was the last trailer they used, and they just changed the text on it. The trailer that Volume made, fucking insane, so good,
dude.
So
well, and Shark ZXD made one too, and they were both fantastic. Nice. I guarantee both of those guys would do it cheaper than whoever the fuck you paid to do this one. And they were awesome. They were fantastic. Yeah, they were badass. Just fucking. Oh, no,
I did see Sharks.
Whatever you got at $10.99, that bitch. Give it to that dude. Let him make your trailer.
I did see Sharks. I think one criticism for his, I didn't really care for the font. Otherwise, it was fucking incredible. But that's a nitpick. Friends, this has been a podcast. We hunted. We talked about Pred. I'm pretty happy about it. Again, I think we're all feeling bullish on the game. We're feeling the optimistic. We're feeling that funny feeling of hope and optimism. We're being reminded that when people do come and play Pred, they find that the gameplay is fun. Unfortunately for me, this is me speaking, I have also seen that they're also finding that there is not much after that. I'm personally a little bit worried about the onboarding and the new player experience. I think it's rough out there. So we're looking at retention. We're looking at some of these big systems coming up, and I'm excited about it. Pinzo, this has been a podcast. You've been a part of it. I appreciate you. Any closing thoughts?
Of anytime, man.
Okay. Lance, any closing thoughts? This has been a podcast you've been on.
I'm humbled to be here with the two of you.
Oh yeah. All right. I'm not big on the outros because the reality is we know who y'all are. Links in the description. You'll find the PCC. You'll find Pinzo. You're already here. You're watching me. Friends, thank you so much for watching. This has been episode 3 of the Hunt podcast. We'll be back. We're going to be running these as much as I can. I'm pretty invested in Pred. I think I'm here to stay. I mean, I've always really been here to stay. I just need some breaks every now and then. Thank you so much for watching. As always, drop a like on the video. Let people know. Drop a comment. Leave your thoughts and share some sentiments with us. And yeah, we'll see y'all on the next one.